Hey guys, welcome to Danger Goggles. I'm Jacob, and this is the van. So what we'll be doing today is I'll take you a walk around the van, show you all the different projects that we're going to work on this van. Like the brakes, the electrical, carburetor, just get it running, get it back on the road. And we're also going to sand all the paint off, every last bit of it. And we're going to polish the van, which that will take a long time. But it'll be fun. So I'm glad you guys are along for this journey as I work on this van and get it roadworthy again, get it back up on the road. And we will continue on with other projects as the time comes, and just to kind of break up the monotony of sanding on a van, because it'll be fun, but probably not to watch. Okay, let me tell you a little history on the van. I'd happened to be cruising through Craigslist. I've been looking for vans for, I don't know, a couple of years, and it just came to the right time to where I could afford a van, and I found one. This one. But it was a little ways away, about 700 miles. So I figured, hey, that looks like fun. Let me call my buddy up and have him go along on the ride with me. So we got into a tiny little two-seater car and drove 12 hours from here in Georgia up to somewhere in the middle of Missouri. It was nuts. I would not recommend it. But we drove out there, checked out this van, and I was like, I've got to have it. It's got what I want. It's got the curved glass, it's got the cool grill, it's got the curved back end, and no one's cut holes in it yet, which I don't plan on cutting holes in, because this is going to be pretty cool when it's all polished and whatnot. So we drove 12 hours, picked up the van. Actually, we didn't pick up the van, I take that back. So we drove 12 hours, looked at this van, and I told the guy, gotta have it. So he got it all started up for me. The engine runs. It just runs off a gas can, off of a 12-volt battery on a 6-volt system. So we've got a lot of electrical work to do, and we have a lot of fuel supply work to do, like a gas tank, fuel lines, probably some other things. Got a lot of work. So far I've already started on wheels. I bought some tires for it, and we'll get to that in a later episode. 1954 Grumman Kurbside van. It's on a Chevy chassis with a 4-speed transmission and a 235 inline 6. It's got the updraft carb, so I'm going to have to learn how to rebuild one of those, but it's just a simple little carb, so it shouldn't be too bad to do. We'll get to that in a later episode as well. On the way back from getting the van, we're driving back. Nothing too eventful happened. I had to get home, call a shipper to deliver the van from Missouri back down to Georgia. But I did something kind of dumb, kind of embarrassed to admit. But in a modern car, I ran out of gas halfway up the off-ramp to get to the gas station. I was looking at the little digital readout, said, oh, you've got 40 miles left to go. And I was like, oh yeah, we're cool. Let's go 10, 15 more miles, we'll get some gas. Well, we got near a gas station. I was like, it's about time. Let's get off at this exit. So we start getting off, and we run out of gas halfway up the on-ramp. So we have to push the car up the on-ramp, jump in real quick as soon as we press the hill, and cruise into a gas station. And I thought we were going to have to push it through the gas station as well, because it had a little hill going up into it. Other than that, nothing too eventful. It was miserable. It was 24 hours in a car that's designed to maybe spend about an hour or so driving. But 24 hours in 2 days driving a little car. When we got home, I called up the shipper and had him ship it back. We dropped it off down in the cul-de-sac. I knew I couldn't leave it there because it's a bit of an eyesore for people who don't like these things. So I hooked up my gas can hooked up a battery, which I ended up killing because I left it plugged in on a 6-volt system that has all sorts of janky wiring. And I put this thing in first gear with the front tire. I'll show you that in a minute. The front tire so flat it was almost square, so trying to drive this thing around a cul-de-sac was a nightmare. But I got it turned around and came up my steep hill of a driveway. I had to tear out the corner of the fence just to get it into the backyard because my neighborhood would probably have a fit if I had it out in the front yard. So I had to tear that up and drive this thing right up. It runs like a champ, but it needs a lot of work before we get it on the road. Brakes, electrical, tune-up on the engine, a fuel system so the engine will actually run, and we should be good to go. After that, it will be a lot of finishing stuff like sanding it, polishing it, putting new lights in, getting new windows, which I know these corner windows right here, they're going to cost a lot of money. But I'll get it done. I know on the forums there's been a few people talking about a place that will do this class, so I'll contact them when the time comes. But I'm glad you guys are along, and let's show you around the van. Alright guys, let's take you around a tour of the van. Let's just get this door open and show you what we have inside. Got it. No, I don't. So that's another thing we'll have to fix is this door. A little hard to open. As you can see here, I hope I haven't looked at the frame, but I've got the doghouse off the engine, and this is our Chevy 235 inline 6. I have a GMC 270 inline 6 that I'm going to eventually rebuild and put in this, or maybe not. We'll see what happens. We've got the 4-speed transmission that has the super low gears. So we'll just have to give this a freshen up and get some better seats. I have to put in a passenger side seat as well for my co-pilot and my beautiful loving wife, who are one and the same. So another thing we're going to be doing in here, along with putting 2 new seats in, we're going to take out the old headliner and other insulation crap because it's probably mostly rat feces. And we're going to put probably a lizard skin or something similar on the inside of the van to keep the heat and noise down. I want to put a backup camera because there is no back windows. And right now there's no mirrors either, so I can't see a thing behind me unless I open the door and stick my head out. We've already taken off the brake master cylinder. I'm going to do some research and find out which master cylinder will be the best to put in its place, because I'd like to switch to a dual reservoir master cylinder. So if the one side of the brakes goes out, I'm not going to be plastered up against a tree. As you can see, we've got some very questionable wiring. I'm assuming this was to hook up the engine to a 12-volt battery just to get us started, but that will definitely have to change, and I'll have to figure out where that hose is supposed to go. I've also got chewed up wires under the dash, so all the wiring is going to have to be redone. I'll be learning how to do wiring myself. I'll probably get a wiring harness kit for, you know, late Chevy truck or van, just to make it simpler on myself, because as far as I'm concerned, anything electrical is all voodoo to me. I don't understand it, and having somebody just make a kit for it would be a lot better. Even if I have to modify it, I can lengthen and shorten wires as needed. But trying to do it all from scratch, that's just not going to happen. Alright guys, so this is the original master cylinder I pulled off. 2 reasons why I'm not going to reuse it. One is it's only a single reservoir master cylinder. If one end of the brakes goes out, then that means all the brakes go out. So dual will help out with that. The other reason is the inside. I'm sure you can't see in there, but the inside looks just like the outside. Crusty, rusty, and dirty. It's just never going to work again. So we're going to look for a dual master cylinder and bend some brake lines, rebuild all the wheel cylinders, probably get the shoes relined. Got a lot of work to do on the brakes. All of it, really. Another thing that's going to help with moving and stopping, these new tires I got here. I just went with something cheap, just some Samson truck tires. I got a couple of new wheels that I'm restoring. Heavy wheels shaking the whole van. I'll ride on these for probably 5 years or so, and then I'll probably look at switching the whole frame of the van out and going with a more modern suspension. Probably put bags on it to lower it down a little bit. This van is going to be my shop truck slash parts runner slash swap meet vehicle. So it's going to put in a lot of good work for me. It's got plenty of room in the back of the van, so I'll be able to put lots of cool parts. I've got the original seat back here, parts of the doghouse, the original heater. So I'm not sure if I'll put that back in. Get somebody to test it, make sure it doesn't leak. One thing I need to redo is the back bumper. This van did not have one when I picked it up. But usually the back bumpers are these huge steel step bumpers. I'll probably go with a diamond plate aluminum just to keep everything nice and shiny. Just depending on the cost of it. There's a few body panels that need some welding, and if I'm going to be making an aluminum bumper, I'm going to want to weld that as well. So I'm going to learn how to do some TIG welding. So you guys will watch me fail multiple times at that before I get any good to actually put it on the truck. But that's one other thing that we'll be doing. One plan that I have is for these tail lights down here. I'm going to get rid of the old tail lights. I don't know if they're stock or not. They look ugly. But I'm going to put some flush mount LED tail lights up in the van, probably near where these are. It's got the same spot on both sides. Get that, have better lighting, so when I'm driving at night and people don't see the gigantic polished aluminum van, they'll at least be able to see some bright tail lights. This is the tire that I was talking about, the square one. This whole side here was completely flat, and I tried everything I could to make it somewhat round. It was very hard to drive on. It's probably been flat since the late 70s. So I'll be replacing all these nasty old tires, nasty old wheels. I'm actually going to sand these up, repaint them, put the new tires on. This wheel right here is questionable just because it has been flat for so long it may never hold a bead again. So I bought a couple of used 19.5-inch wheels to swap some of these out. Make the project go a little smoother. In part of the electrical stuff we have going on the van, I've got these old lights. All of them need to be replaced, old reflectors. I'll probably take most of this stuff off and just relocate a few things. These are old plastic headlight housings. I've asked for help on where to find new ones or where to get some made, and every time I ask for the headlight housing or the headlight bucket, people always tell me where to get these. That's not a big problem. Just go into any place that sells old Chevy truck parts, you can get those. What I need is this. So I'll probably work on some hand forming of aluminum. I'll make a buck and gently hammer out new shapes for both this side, that side, and I found that the gas filler neck opening has a piece very similar to this. And I'm going to replace all these ugly rivets here with some of these rivets, which I can't remember the name of, but I might have to have two people, one on the inside, one on the outside. Alright guys, with sanding the van, what I originally planned to do was use paint stripper. I tried that. This was my result. it would get through the white paint, some of this gray paint, a little bit of the red paint, but it wouldn't get through this yellow or green stuff. So I just said, you know what, I don't have time for this. So I pulled out a little DA sander, put a 80 grit pad on, and just went nuts. That was just a few minutes of work, whereas getting this far with the paint stripper, probably a couple hours. And it seems like a waste of time. So I'm just going to sand it, make it look a lot better. These are some of the holes I'm talking about. Very, very tiny holes I'd like to fill. And then up here in the front, I need to weld this up. It cracked when somebody hit something many, many decades ago. The other side of the van has a big scar going across here where it looked like somebody was driving through a gate or driving by a tree and just something dug into the metal. I'll probably hammer most of that out, and I'll have to do some sanding because it looked like somebody took a big angle grinder and just dug into the metal to put in body filler. So we'll have to work getting all those big ugly scratches out, and get to polishing soon. Alright guys, thanks for coming along on this tour with me of my 1954 Grumman Kurbside. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Please check us out on Instagram and Facebook under Danger Goggles, or you could email me at thedangergoggles@gmail.com.